Welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. We're here after the Packers come from behind victory in Miami.
By the way.
My what?
I like your tan.
Do you?
In Miami.
Yeah, I got that walking from the parking lot to the stadium. It was about 100 feet.
It was 87 degrees?
87 degrees. It was hot. It wasn't hot in the press box, but it looked like it was hot.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see a bunch of guys getting IVs and cramping up.
After the game, Jarrett Bush looked like he was on death's door.
Really?
I mean, because he had played all these special team snaps.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden he had to go in at quarterback.
Yep.
He could barely talk.
That's why he's on the team, man. That's why he's on the team. That guy's very valuable.
Yeah, he is. Let's get right to the game. And I want to talk about that last drive and some of the strategy. And this question to you first. Aaron Rodgers getting a lot of credit for moving the ball, moving them down.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, I've heard some people say, well, really a lot of fortunate things happened in that drive that were good.
Come on.
But how much credit do you have to give to circumstances and what happened and what the other guys did? Devontae Adams getting out of bounds, Jordy Nelson getting free on the 4th and 10.
It's supposed
James
to happen.
Starks making some plays.
But I feel bad for Aaron. It's catch-22. If he loses that game, and then the people are going to rip him. Oh, he's 6-25 and 8 points and under. I mean, come on. The guy did it. I will say this. T.J. Lane getting the fumble help.
That's the other one.
That helps. Now, but to move your team down the field is what top quarterbacks do. So I was just happy to see that. But I knew it was going to be some people, the media, it was just fortunate things to happen. You got to give him a lot of credit. You really do, Tom.
Okay.
He put his team in position to win the game.
I'm just saying, don't forget about Andrew Corliss, T.J. Lane, Jordy Nelson, and James Starks, because those guys made that happen.
Point well taken, but it's still Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
He has done it because sometimes he brings his team down to win the winning game, the winning touchdown, and the defense will come and give it up, but it goes on his record.
Right.
Or the kicker miss a field goal.
Right.
It goes on his record. So I was just excited the fact to see him move his team down and score the winning touchdown.
Okay. What did you think about the timeouts that Joe Philbin called during that?
I was a little shocked.
You were, huh?
Yeah, I was.
As a defense, you wouldn't want them to call timeout so he called a timeout before the final play.
Right. Now, you know what? Sometimes you understand that as a defense, it's best that we line up properly and get the right call. That's very important. Sometimes you have to have a timeout for that. Otherwise, you're giving the offense a chance to, put in a couple plays and kind of see, see what we're going to line up in. Almost like basketball. They see you line up, they call a timeout, and then they do something else. But it was a little shocking because I think the defense, you want the reaction, you want the offense to react a little quicker. But if you give them a chance to kind of regroup, you're kind of helping them in a way.
The one that I thought was the most questionable was after the sack, after Lang picked that one up. And it's 4th and 10, and they got to come up with something, and, they're probably
especially
a little
when the clock's winding, no timeouts. What do? You got to set the protection. You got to call. It's a lot of stuff going on. To call a timeout to slow them down, I think that's kind of hurts you.
Think about what would have happened if Mike Shanahan had called a timeout before the play to Chimura across the middle in Super Bowl 31.
Maybe we have another Super Bowl ring.
Maybe, huh?
You never know.
Maybe Holmgren would have called a better play.
You have guys on the staff with statistics, and they tell you statistically you should take a timeout or not. So it's one of those catch-22 things.
Okay. A couple things I want to talk about, and one is the lightning rod named Brad Jones.
Yeah.
Now, there's 2 ways to look at Brad Jones. He is the favorite guy for fans to pile on, and for good reason in most cases. He had a terrible game against Seattle.
Right.
Lattimore has played better. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah. And I'll say about Brad Jones, I tell people this all the time. He's like that cousin who comes to the family reunion He's going to come, so you have to accept him. He's driving up right now. Here he is. Get him a plate of food. We accept him. He's fine. Because he really made some good plays, but the glaring bad plays, the one people point out, you know. Because if you talk to McCarthy about him, they really like him, what he brings to the game.
Well, we were just talking, and we were like, hey, remember the ball that hit him in the back of the head? That was good coverage.
Yep.
Remember the sack? If he doesn't get his hands in the face, that's a huge sack.
Remember Jamal Williams' ankle? He rolled him up.
Yeah, but then there's that. He had a key tackle for loss.
Absolutely.
He played aggressively. We watched that Tannehill run. That was all Clay Matthews. That was not Brad Jones' fault.
But he'll get blamed for it, though.
Yeah, but but then you get those boneheaded plays too. It's like, how do do you live with that, or what do you do?
You have to. I mean, because the guy's not going there. He's been played football for them for a long time, and again, it just seems like that one play is always pointed out.
Yeah.
And it covers up a lot of other things. So because if he makes that play, the swing out play, he missed that tackle. If he makes that tackle, that's a big play in the game, because that started Miami's momentum. Okay,
let's talk about the Packers' defense and where you think they are now. In the beginning of the year, people were really down on what they were doing. Each game, they seem to be, having some part of their game is good.
Right.
They haven't really had a big, complete game. What did you think about the performance on Sunday, and where are they as a defense?
I think they're ascending as a defense. They're learning. They understand what's asked of them. Because I think I get what Don Capers is saying now. Okay, we're last against the run. Okay, I get that. But we're first in interceptions, turnover differential, things like that.
+9 in turnover.
See, that's unbelievable. Now, a lot of that has to do with Aaron doesn't turn the ball over.
Right.
But think about it. In 2010, they were always in the top with interceptions.
Yeah.
So they said, we know we give up a lot of runs, but if you look at today's scope of the NFL, there's so many elite quarterbacks with these gaudy numbers, they're not going to run the ball enough to beat you nowadays.
Right.
They got to get ahead, then run the ball. We're going to get turnovers. We're going to confuse the quarterback. I think they gave up 112, 130 yards rushing, which is manageable, but it's not 215, 230.
Right.
So I think the defense is going to get better. I think by week 8, 9, and 10, you'll see this defense really flying around.
Okay, before we get to Carolina, let me ask you the question that everybody's asking. What's wrong with Clay Matthews?
I look at Clay Matthews like Junior Seau. The guy line up in a lot of different spots, and at times he can be a little undisciplined. At times it looks like he's guessing. But for what the energy and the motor that he has, you'll live with that.
But is there production? Are they seeing production?
I think other guys are going to benefit, because he does take a lot of double teams and things of that nature, but he has to turn it up on each level. If they're going to put him in middle linebacker and blitz him, you got to get to the quarterback. Now, what they can do, Tom, they can free him up on a lot of these other plays by running what we call these pick plays and let him come around second. Now he's going first.
Okay.
Then another guy's coming around. So they got to put him in position to make plays, but at the same time, he has to go out and continue to wreak havoc, especially on the outside.
Yeah, it does make you wonder if the groin injury is a factor too. But
or hamstring. You never know.
Yeah. Let's look ahead to Carolina and Cam Newton, and we'll look at him in the X's and O's, where some pretty interesting plays of how they use him as a almost as a running back.
Yeah, I think he almost had 18 or 19 attempts against Cincinnati, which is crazy.
Yeah, this is the guy. This is the type of guy who gives the Packers fits.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson did it. Geno Smith had some luck doing it. What are they going to do with?
Well, you look at Tannehill's 40-yard run.
Yeah.
That play was a ride and decide to Matthews, and if that's Cam Newton, it's a touchdown. Tannehill went 40 yards. If you go all the way back to playoff game and the games against San Francisco with Colin Kaepernick did, they're going to run the same stuff. But they got Benjamin, a big wide receiver, and they got a tight end, Olsen, who is hot. Now, so some kind of way, they got to really stay on their keys and be disciplined, because otherwise this Panther team is big and physical. And not only that, Cam Newton, if he's going to run the ball 18, 19 times, he's like a running back with the ball. And we're going to show in X's and O's, he don't always want to get outside.
Yeah.
He keeps it inside the tackles.
Yeah. Now, do you spy a guy like that? Now, I've always heard defense coordinators say, if you're going to spy a guy, it takes a guy out of your coverage. Were you ever given that assignment?
Yeah, we used to spy Steve Young every now and then. until sometimes we have to keep it in the confines and the integrity of the defense.
Right.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
You got to go a 3-man line with a spy.
Yeah.
It's hard to go a 4-man line with a spy because you take a guy and you almost void a whole zone.
Right.
So you got to pick your poison with that. But again, I think they'll defend the pass very well. But if your 2 starting corners are out, I can see Carolina saying, you know, we're just going to run the ball on the perimeter and make sure 24 and 29 and 31 find out can they tackle and see what happens.
Right. Okay. Great. Well, don't forget to join us for X's and O's. We have some look at Cam Newton, also the Jordy Nelson touchdown from the game. And we will see you next week.